Well, I certainly didn't do anything to shorten my list this week. If anything, I just added a bunch of stuff on. How about you guys?
Hey, go. Asteroid of fear.
Welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Friday here at the Men of the House podcast. Thank you for joining me. Remember to hit that subscribe button. It's the one free thing you can do that will help this get to more ears, should they need to hear it. Share it if you think they need to hear it. Yeah. So, how is everybody out there doing? For the local listeners, I'm sure things are getting back to normal, as today was the first day kids had school. They had 3 days of no school, bad weather days, which, how do I feel about that? They were excited. I was kind of excited too, I think. I think I needed a little break. Me and the wife both. I got a lot of office stuff done that I needed to get done, going through emails, catching up, already behind again. uh, One day of like emails fucking burned me out. You know, it's a different type of stress. There's people who swing hammers for a living, weld. There's people who sit and look at spreadsheets all day. I think they're different kinds of taxing. Um, at least with the physical one, you feel like you did something. I'll give it to that. Like hard work feels good. Speaking of, let me hard work this little lamp back here. Extra lighting. Boom. And let there be light, he said. Get a little spirit in here. A little maple pecan candle I found on the 50% off rack. My wife gives me this little candle warmer. Mine's all like fat boy stuff. I got milk and cookies over here stashed. And then the other one I got, which is if I need it, a strong, as the Latinos would say. It's got to be a strong, a strong. I just imagine like Penelope Cruz, like in that voice. Yeah, sound way much hotter. Her, Ana de Armas, or who's the Salma Hayek? Yeah, yeah, but a nice little accent. Yeah, I don't even know what I was talking about. Now I'm thinking of Latin ladies. And mine just replied. I said, "All right, I'm about to record." She put, "Okay, better stop talking about other Latinas and their voices, because I got one that will kill me in my sleep." Oh yeah, it's slow, it's smell, it's smart. Ay ay ay. Yeah. So we were talking about the snow days and what a treat that was. Of course, here in Texas, it's mostly ice, which makes it slicker than dog shit. Not safe for driving, so we stayed in the house, although my cousin did take the golf cart out, him and my daughter, which he actually slid into my car reversing because it was that slick and small, slightly. He was, kind of right where we parked. There's a little area. Did a little Tokyo drift there. Um, which I was kind of against. I mean, I get kind of, but I worry. It's my daughter. Flip it over. Um, and, you know, we'll have a couple moments. We're going to have a moment of silence later for a couple, but um, as you know, I don't know her name, but there was somebody who passed away in a sledding accident. Let me, let me look over here. Who was the Texas teen passed away sledding? I believe it was in Frisco. Texas sledding accident. Second teen dies after Texas sledding accident killed best friend. They were holding on to each other. Um, Grace Brito, and the other teen was Elizabeth Engel. Thoughts and prayers go out to them. And you think about that. I think about like my cousin who we've had since he was 4 months old, and I know he would never intentionally do anything, but when you're a 23-year-old male, you you don't think so straight. You're not fully developed. I mean, this guy has an arsenal like you wouldn't believe, but he's afraid to take the trash can down to the end of the road, an eighth of a mile dirt road, out in the sticks, in the dark. He told me it was creepy, like the fucking boogeyman's gonna be out there or something. you know, super great behind the keyboard and a Xbox controller, but yeah, has an arsenal. I'd be more afraid of him using it out of being afraid, not knowing what real fear is, but taking the trash can down in the dark out in the middle of Texas. I mean, we have coyotes. My uncle killed a bobcat. I guess there was some black bear sightings. Um, I can remember when like a chicken hawk took one of our dogs, I think, but he was lost. I can remember walking out pitch black. I had to have been in my teens. You know, you don't know what you're gonna step on. One time I had like a mental episode and ran off into the woods at night and climbed this tree we used to climb and hang out in as kids. I knew exactly where it was. I was like in just shorts, barefoot, no shirt, maybe a shirt, maybe not. But the next day, I returned home that evening, got my head sorted out. And the next day, I walked towards the tree, and right where I had walked, there's a dead copperhead. Yeah. So I easily could have stepped on one of those. That's what you got to watch out for. But no boogeyman. No boogeyman, Chris. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that, they thought, I guess it would be fun, maybe a good idea. Now you have two kids who are dead and the driver, I don't know if they're going to charge him, what the scoop will be, how the whole incident will be treated, but ultimately his life too. He's got to live with that. It's going to cause some issues down the road. which it, yeah, it would. We're all gonna get that ending one day. We just hope it's not out of, doing stuff like that, not thinking something through because anything could happen at any moment. I mean, that's why they call it an accident. But, as my cousin and daughter Tokyo drifting in the golf cart, that's my concern. Hey, all it takes is one freak slip, one wrong turn, not buckled in. It's got a big cover on it that kind of keeps it warm and provides a little stability. But, my cousin's big, my daughter's small. If he fell on her, I mean, just if it rolled or anything. And I'm like, you just got to be careful. I mean, I know you think you're having fun. You want to have fun on your own? Fucking have fun on your own. When you got my daughter with you, proceed with caution. How about that? That goes to all the future men who are dating any of mine, my wife's kids, our daughters. And remember, there's a second father, my wife's ex, for the older girls. So, you want to fuck up your own shit? Be my guest. I'm sure he would say the same. But if you got our daughters, proceed with caution. They are super valuable to us. We love them very much. They're the things we live for. So, yeah, speaking of that, um, can take another moment of silence for a family member pass away on that side of the family. There's your moment of silence. Out of respect. So we'll have a funeral to attend. I'm sure my wife and I will have to converse on if we're all going, if we want our 12-year-old to be exposed to that. Should we? I mean, every kid has to be exposed to it at some point. I guess unless you decide not to. Do you ask? Um, it's tough. It's tough. I can remember when my uncle passed away. The hardest part was seeing my grandmother and my mom cry. That's what broke me inside. But I mean, as you guys know, it's. I was thinking of dates like between like my wife's like birthday, my grandmother's birthday, my aunt's sobriety all being on the same date, my mom and somebody else I know, same date. My grandmother and this grandmother passed away same day, along with another family friend that was very close. lot of connection there. But, you know, we're all going to get that someday. I've talked about that. We all hope to get to have it the way we would like, but it's not always up to us. However, in light of that, I think I'd talk to you guys, everyone, about becoming a death doula after my experience with Buck, which the 27th this week was 1 year since Buck passed away, but about that being a very meaningful experience for me as a caregiver and wanting to get more involved in this kind of work. And I found a end of life doula program. I believe it's through Doula Givers, and this person was, I think she founded the NIDA, which is like the either the organization certification. Let me see. Um, National End of Life Doula Alliance. So she was the founder of that. So Doula Givers Institute. But I found a program. Um, I'd found a couple, and then somehow I came across this, and ended up attending the level one family thing, which if you attended that, you had an opportunity to sign up for the second one, which I attended last night, Path to Practice. And only then could you decide to sign up or be offered to enroll. You couldn't just go and enroll because they, you know, keep it very selective to, 15 to 20 people in a cohort because it's a very intense 90-day um, get you going up and started. And there's a lot of stuff involved in it that I'm excited to learn about. Nervous and excited. But I will, in 90 days, be certified. So, certified end of life doula, um, along with, um, I forget what it is. Mm. There's all kinds of stuff. I can't read without my glasses. But essentially, no. Fremont Library. Oh, certified end of life doula, certified care consultant, and certified elder care doula. So, yeah, I'll have all kinds of stuff. And there's all kinds of, it's pretty intense. But you learn kind of you get into this like pre planning. I already kind of know some of the services I'm going to be offering and wanting to include. Hold on, someone was calling. Let me maybe pause. And we're back. Had to pause for the cause. I don't even know what I was talking about, other than in 90 days, I will be a certified end of life doula. And I know I was talking about kids, thought processes, and thinking things are safe when they're not. And that was my wife calling me to say, hey, my daughter climbed on something and it wasn't sturdy. She didn't check it. She fell and hit her head. And now we're taking a trip to the ER to make sure it's got a knot. So she might need a CT head, which I'm familiar with. So yeah, this won't be much longer because I'll be fielding that call. I'm just waiting for her to drive, get there, make sure I don't need to go, um, and all will be well. Hmm. But yes, I will be kind of end up being a liaison of sorts between the caregiver and the hospice team, or however it's going to work. That's the general role. And I feel like I've done a lot of that in my career, especially when I worked in the ER and it was a teaching hospital and you have so many different service lines coming through and nobody really tells you like what's next. I was kind of able to fill in the pieces, fill in the gaps, if you will. And so I'll be doing stuff like that, helping people fill in the gaps. And be doing some peace of mind planning, maybe some checking in with people. I got ideas. And then, of course, somehow maybe incorporating their story via podcast, something to leave a little legacy behind for them, their children, grandchildren, and generations, so on. What do they say? Somebody's like, what, in 3 generations, nobody is going to know who you were, your name, anything like that? Well, now they will. That's part of why I do this is um, we never had those opportunities to, we had pictures. Um, so I've only seen great grandparents, never met any of mine. But yeah, I have this opportunity, this gift, and things are lining up, and I ended up with, you know, in the right place at the right time to get this course started Monday with orientation, but even tomorrow already they have like a office hours, co-working hours. So it's like I got to get started. So I got that and some other stuff to be doing. I think I guys told you about the X39. Been trying that. Did have some success with some, let's say, um, I had some scratches in a few places, and um, I got those scratches at the same time. Put the X39 on one set, left the other set to do their own thing, and like 3 to 4 days after, noticeable difference of where the X39 was versus where it was not. But, that was my body just doing its thing, and perhaps the technology within that gave gave my body what it needed, reflecting back its own light to maybe regenerate or wake up some of my Sleepy ass stem cells. Overtaxed. Yeah, that's all I've got on the back burner. There's a lot coming up, but I'm excited because meaning by the summer I can be practicing this craft, actually doing it, and working to do it more. Again, I am nervous. Um, it's like you know something, but then you're like, oh, I just don't see how this is going to work. And then whether it's divine or resourceful somehow, some way, the path to practice that I attended, I mean, it showed you exactly what you were going to get and how you're going to do it. And I had happened across one of the cafe sessions the other day and attended that, and so I was able to like start piecing it together, kind of how it works and what you'll spend some time doing. But essentially, it's helping people get things in order way ahead of time, um, so that should something happen untimely, your family knows what you want because you've expressed it. And maybe instead of a funeral, it can be a funeral. It can be better. It can be whatever it is you want it to be. So I assume I'll be learning a lot about that. Because I mean, even the way we grieve and celebrate things are different now. A celebration of life, maybe versus a funeral, or, you know, depends on what you want. And sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's religious, but I think we're moving in to a direction that you make it whatever you want it to be. This is your life. You figure out how you want to be remembered and what you want done. And remember, like my interview with Michael Bryan, like you said, the minute you die, all your shit becomes somebody else's problem. Figuring out how to take care of that ahead of time. So I'm excited to get into the curriculum, do it step by step, get it up and running, and start doing, I guess, what I was meant to do, which is what I was discussing with my wife today at the park. Is like I feel so weird of how did I end up here? I thought I was going to be doing. I thought I would retire from the military at 37, go into a second government job, and do another 20 and retire, and that's just not what happened. None of this I planned. But like when I said healthcare chose me, that's how I ended up in it for so long. Um, Now I'm kind of back in it in a different way, but it's service to people. I'm just working in a different sector. But I did know that service would always be a part of whatever it is I'm doing. The how and the what were just the factors, and Buck really left me with something. That experience. So it led me to going, hey, like I am, I guess, comfortable in a way. Maybe when a lot of people feel uncomfortable, I'm able to hold the space. And perhaps it's because I've been doing it for a long time. I'm sure there was a lot of space I had to hold for myself when I sat on that bus as a kid. But I've seen a lot. I'm sure I'll see plenty more. But they say that this is really a course on living. It teaches you how to live. And somehow, some way, I've just fumbled my way into this calling. Um, always when you think about sometimes podcasting, yeah, when it's in person, but even now listening, but I'm looking at the Cal Smith stuff behind me and thinking about music and being a musician, thinking of that as a young person. It's about sharing moments and kind of similarly to that's what Buck was, sharing moments. It's what an end of life doula is. It's about sharing moments. Um, I felt like I always knew that I would do something where it was the small moments in between that would make things as a whole special, if that makes sense. But I've always had a different view of life. But I don't know. This is where I've ended up after 50 years, and it's even strange to me. But things keep lining up and keep being allowed. So if the doors are opening, I suppose they're hopefully the doors to the path that I've been searching for my entire life, that brings meaning and fulfillment. And speaking of meaning and fulfillment and freedom, part of me wanting to do my own thing is because I want to be able to be available for my family, which means I'm going to hop off this recording and make sure I'm available to be there for my wife should she need me, because I intend for her to call back. But until next time, go out and be the person that you would want to meet.
Hey, go. Asteroid of fear.